Hello and welcome to another Rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. For today's Rambling review, we're going to talk about Joker, FOLIE à deux. Or I'm just going to refer to it as Joker 2 from now on. Joker 2 takes place 2 years after the previous film, Joker, which saw Joaquin Phoenix's character, Arthur Fleck, embodying his persona of the Joker, and he killed a man on live television in addition to 5 other people during the course of the movie. In all honesty, I somewhat enjoyed that movie. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I did find it to be a very fascinating and interesting character study. It was a study of both the evils of our society upon man, but as well as how evil can be birthed. I thought the first film, there was no need for a second film. When I heard they were making a sequel, I was kind of aghast, in all honesty. And then I heard there was going to be partially a musical, and that even surprised me even more. But my hunches were correct. This is not a spoiler-free review, so if you want to not hear any spoilers about the movie, you need to just not listen anymore to this review. The movie is awful. It's extremely boring. It's extremely dull. The musical interludes, they don't add anything to the story. They don't project anything. The musical interludes are supposed to be what's happening inside Arthur Fleck's mind, but it doesn't work. And everything that happened in the first movie is completely thrown aside in this movie. The development, his emergence as Joker at the end of the first film, this film does a total regression of that. And actually, Arthur Fleck at the end of this movie he's less of a person than he was at the beginning of the first movie. It basically has 3 sets. It takes place in a jail, in a prison. Then there's the courtroom scenes, and then there's all the boring scenes of Arthur being driven to and from the courtroom in a car, and that's about it. Now, the acting is really good. I mean, it's excellent, superb acting. You can't fault it there. The general plot of the movie, for what little plot there is, it's 2 years after the end of the end of the Joker. Arthur Fleck is, first of all, they're trying to decipher whether or not he's competent to be sent to the trial. Catherine Keener plays his lawyer. She has this theory that Arthur Fleck actually has a split personality disorder, and that there is the personality of Arthur Fleck, and then there's the personality of Joker, and Joker is the personality that committed all the atrocities 2 years previous. And that's kind of what she goes with into the courtroom, because he is found competent to stand trial. Something happens during the trial, and then there's a huge mayhem for a very brief time, and then the movie quickly actually comes to close not too long after that. Lady Gaga, she portrays Lee Quinzel, aka Harley Quinzel, sort of supposed to be like Harley Quinn. She does an excellent job. Her story is very much similar to the origin of Harley Quinn in the Batman animated series. So that aspect, I mean, I can't fall into the acting. I've heard rumors that Todd Phillips had final cut. Whatever the message he was trying to say or do in the first film, this is the exact opposite, because it rips it all apart. It's a complete deconstruction. If you liked Arthur Fleck, you will hate this movie, because it does. It totally rips him apart. The movie is called The Joker. Joker is in the title. It's Joker 2, but this is not Joker from Batman. I mean, the Joker is that Arthur Fleck is just a joke, and that he's just that's basically what it is. He's just a joke. He's a joke himself. So that's what the joke is, that Arthur Fleck himself is a joke. Spoilers here. There's some somewhat graphic scenes in the movie. I mean, they're done off camera, but they're highly suggested. Arthur Fleck, he ends up, for a time, he embodies the character of Joker in the courtroom, but he gives up that persona and says he doesn't want to be Joker anymore the following day, when he's giving his final statements, his concluding remarks to the jury, because the night previous, the guards that he was somewhat on familiar terms with, somewhat as friendly as probably a prisoner could be with guards, they rape him, and I mean, nothing is shown, but it is highly suggested off scene. And then they also murder another prisoner right in front of Arthur Fleck's cell, and so that all takes place. And then at the end of the movie, you don't really find out exactly for all of the charges that he's charged with what the jury decides. They only hear one of them, that he's found guilty. And then there's this huge massive explosion as the Joker followers, the disciples, his acolytes, they bomb the car, have a car bomb and blow up the courtroom. And Harvey Dent, you see him lying on the ground, and he looks like part of his face has been burnt. It didn't look, I mean, it's hard to say, but it didn't look too bad. Who knows? But, suggestive of Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face maybe later on. Arthur Fleck leaves the courtroom, and then he's picked up by a couple of his followers, and hey, we're going to get you out of here. And then he actually, when they're at a stop, he jumps out of the car and he runs away to the staircase, where the staircase in the first film where he did the dance down. And then he's sitting there and he's talking to Harley Quinn, and she basically says, we're over. I don't want to have anything to do with you because you're not Joker. You're just Arthur Fleck. There's no baby. I lied to you. Then the cops come, and then they show up and they, I guess, rearrest him, and they take him back to prison. And then the final part of the movie, Arthur Fleck receives a message that, there's somebody here to see you. And as he's walking down the hallway, another prisoner comes up and says, hey, Arthur, you want to hear a joke? And it's this guy we've only seen a few times in the film, kind of in the background. He may have had a few lines. He tells this joke. He proceeds after the joke to stab Arthur Fleck a bunch of times in the stomach. And then you see as Arthur Fleck is dying and his guts are bleeding out on the floor, and kind of in the corner, you see the guy laughing hysterically and then cutting his face, sort of like a smile, I guess, in his face, suggesting that is the real Joker and that Arthur Fleck was not all along. And so that is Joker 2, and it was not a good film. It was incredibly boring. The first hour of the movie was really, really boring. Nothing happened, and it just kept going on, and there was no development of character there. There's nothing different. Nothing happens. You're just waiting for the courtroom scenes to start, basically. And then when things do start to happen, it does pick up a little bit of steam, but then, like I said, it's just a deconstruction of the character. This is not the Joker from the comics. This is not any sort of Joker. It's not even Joker at all. They put the name in the title, but he's not Joker. The Joker persona that he, at the end of the first movie, that he, dressed up in the makeup and, was doing these things, killing people, and that's only on screen for a very short time in the courtroom. And that's it. And there's a couple, of course, musical interludes where that character shows up, but that's it. In all honesty, I wasn't looking forward to this movie anyway, but I thought it would be better than it was. And I know there'll be some out there that say, you just didn't get it. You didn't understand it. No, I got the point of what Todd Phillips was trying to do and say, and no, it was horrible. You have this character, this person in the first film, everything that happens and builds up, and then this movie just rips it all down, and there's no sort of redemption, there's no sort of turning around. It just, you destroy it all, and then it just ends. Not only that, but it's boring. It's boring. The best scene of the movie was when Mr. Puddles, the dwarf that was in the first movie, he shows up for testimony in a scene, and that's the best scene in the movie. I wish there was more scenes like that happened in this movie. It would have made the point that they were trying to get across better if there had been more characters like that. But there's a reason this movie is bombing at the box office. It's the reason why critics don't like it and why people aren't liking it. This movie is not going to make $1 billion. This movie is going to be lucky if it even breaks even. I don't think it even will break even. I don't think even with the worldwide grosses, it will come close to that. Probably at the best, this film might get to the 400, maybe 450 mark at the best for worldwide, but I'm not for sure if it will even do that. And maybe about 350, 375 is as far as it will go. So, an unnecessary and pointless sequel. This has been another rambling review from Adventures in TV Land. Thank you for watching. Until next time, that's a wrap.